Um, I'm Erin Sangenario. I'm in 12th grade, and my question is, why can't women be priests?
So Erin has a good question there, and you know, it's what we get. A lot of non-Catholics wonder why our clergy are only restricted to men. You know, in other Christian denominations, they have women pastors. I'm even aware of one branch of Judaism, Reform Judaism, has women rabbis. And certainly as Americans, all of us believe that women and men are of equal footing. We should. And I wish women could be priests too, just like every other American probably does. Joe, what would you say the answer is to the question of why not?
So he instituted the Eucharist at the Last Supper, and at the Last Supper he basically ordained 12 apostles.
They're the first priests.
They're the first priests. So that alone has a lot of weight to it. Another reason is that Christ, you know, was a man, and he was the first priest.
St. John Paul II was very big on that. He talked about how the idea that when you say, "This is my body," the man who says those words, Jesus, should embody, resemble Jesus as much as possible. And I personally hope Jesus was bald. Not doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your point is correct. The orders is a sacrament, just like the Eucharist is a sacrament. When it comes to the seven sacraments, we believe each of them are instituted by Christ, and we are not allowed to overrule His example. So, for example, for baptism, we have to use holy water. We have to use water, right? Can't use milk or some other liquid you think is great. We got to do that. I know some Christian churches that aren't like Catholic churches and don't bind themselves by the example of Christ and the apostles, the first priests, the first bishops, and like they do all kinds of prayer baptisms, which aren't really baptisms. Or at Mass, the body and blood of Jesus have to be made out of what?
Bread and wine.
Yeah, wheat bread and grape wine. Now, I'm aware of Christian denominations that think alcohol is evil, even though Jesus drank it in the Bible, and they have grape juice. They substituted something else. We don't believe we can substitute when it comes to a sacrament. When it comes to the sacraments, these things that Jesus gave the church, we feel very bound by exactly what He used. So the only thing the 12 apostles had in common was they were all men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of them could read. Matthew was a tax collector, and some of them were fishermen. Some were from the Galilee area. Some of them were closer to Jerusalem. They weren't all the same religion even. We think all Jewish is the same, but just like all Christians aren't the same. Some were very ascetic Judaism, some were temple Jews, some were Pharisaic Jews, so they weren't even all the same kind of religion. Mm-hmm. The one thing they all had in common was they were all men. And we're bound by that example, just like we can't change the bread and wine, we can't change from water, we can't change from man and woman the sacrament of marriage. We had to use what Jesus used, it's because it's a sacrament. Does that mean there's no way for a woman to serve and work in our church?
Not at all. There's a lot of things that women can do in our church. One of them would be becoming a nun.
Sure, women is ranch religious life. Certainly many of the leadership in the staff of our parish here at St. Thomas are women. And just recently, Pope Francis said that these orders of acolyte and order of lector, just said last week, is open to women too. So a woman can give her life in service to the church, but we're bound with holy orders by the example of Jesus, what He chose in the Bible, the 12 apostles. Does that mean men are better?
Not at all.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as Christians, who would we say the greatest human being who ever lived was?
Mary.
Yeah, Our Lady. So not only are men not better than women, but if we had to come down and say which is better, the best human who ever lived is a woman. And Erin, I think you're pretty good too.
All right, thanks, Erin.